Es war einmal im Zeitalter der bösen Corona eine Mutter, das war ich, mit ihrem Kind in Berlin. Sie träumte von einem Ort, wo sie endlich ihr FaceTime-Check-in, Lippenstift tragen und vor allem im Zug ihre Tochter auch mal küssen konnte, ohne davor eine Maske abzunehmen. Da hörte sie von einem weit entfernten Land, das für Ikea, Volvo, den Nobelpreis, H&M, die Wikinger und aber berühmt war und für den Kampf gegen Corona ohne Lockdown oder Maskenpflicht. Also nahm sie ihre Tochter mit auf eine Reise an die frische Luft. Ich bin jetzt in Tegel und wir fahren nach Stockholm, Schweden. Ich und Hanna, ich hoffe, ich kann das Mundschutz da in den Müll wegwerfen. Ich habe vergessen, ich brauche keinen Mundschutz. Ich bin in H&M und brauche keinen Mundschutz. Wir ins Bus, kein Mundschutz, aber nicht so viel Abstand. Wir sind in dem Wikinger Museum und wir brauchen keinen Mundschutz. Wir waren nicht die Einzigen, die dem Land der Masken entkommen sind.
Ich war im März, April und Mai in Deutschland und das war eine ziemlich harte Zeit. Alle Geschäfte waren zu, die ganzen Restaurants waren geschlossen und es war fast kein Leben auf der Straße. Und ich war dann sehr froh, nach Schweden zu kommen, wo das Leben irgendwie normal war und die Leute fröhlich sind und keine Angst hatten und irgendwie eine schöne Zeit hatten.
Mein Freund Tomer, ein israelischer Designer, der in Schweden lebt, hat mich über die schwedische Gesellschaft aufgeklärt.
Life goes on. I mean, like everything is open. We go to bars, we go to restaurants, we work as usual. Everything is like cool. Like Swedes are very cool when it comes to that. They don't take it serious. I mean, like yeah, they take it seriously somehow, but they think that we need to live life.
Die schwedische Methode hat vielleicht das Leben dieses veganen Cafés gerettet.
We could be open during the time and still get some sales in. Otherwise, it would be really hard if we would need to close down for a few months. So we just needed to make sure we were careful with how we serve people, that we split the tables and basically clean a little more.
Doch gab es kein Entkommen vor der bösen Corona. Überall ermahnten uns Schilder, Abstand zu halten. Schweden wurde für sein Vorgehen auf eine Risikoliste gesetzt und wer war überhaupt unterwegs? Ich war im Sommer bisher die einzige Kundin dieses Reiseleiters.
So they say that because Sweden didn't have a lockdown, so business was as usual at Sweden. And that may be true in a way when it comes to children going to school and with shops being open while other countries, everything closed down. But actually, when it comes to Swedish economics, so it was certainly not business as usual in Sweden. Companies had to let thousands, tens of thousands of people go because markets were closed and chains of production were closed. So Volvo couldn't continue making cars as usual, and H&M couldn't continue selling clothes as usual because factories were closed all around the world and shopping malls were closed around the world. Nobody gets on airplanes anymore, and you can't make cars if nobody's going to buy them.
Dieses Jahr im Vergleich mit letzten Jahr haben wir ein minus 78% Untergang vom Tourismus und das ist natürlich sehr viel. Die Hotels, Restaurants, Transport, alle Firmen, die mit Tourismus arbeiten, haben natürlich Schwierigkeiten gehabt.
Und die böse Corona kostete in Schweden 5.500 Menschen das Leben, meist ältere Leute in Pflegeheimen. Im Vergleich zu den insgesamt 1.200 Toten der anderen skandinavischen Länder, in denen es einen Lockdown gab. Die politische Opposition kam eigentlich von rechts.
So we believe that it is very important to take the uncertain before the certain. And that means that in the beginning, Sweden needed to take harsher measures, which for example was to have better controls at our airports and to have better controls at our nursing homes. But the socialist government, they failed doing this. And the result was that we had a completely open society without any certain measures that led to some of the Nordic highest death tolls in the Nordic countries.
We thought from the beginning already that we are going to wear masks. First of all, to protect our own elderly people. But they said that we don't have there are no possibilities to get this mask because we don't have them.
So that was a big mistake.
It was a big mistake.
Für einige Schweden waren Oma und Opa die Märtyrer ihrer Freiheit.
Do you know people who had COVID?
Yeah.
Did anyone get really sick or die from it that you know of?
Yeah, my granddad.
Granddad, who died from it?
Or he died, and he probably had COVID as well. He was one of those, with the old elderly homes.
So does that make you think we didn't do the right thing?
Of course, I love my granddad and I really miss him, but he probably would have gone anytime soon as well. He was quite deep into Alzheimer's, so if it wasn't COVID, it could have been the Alzheimer's. We don't know yet. So.
How old was he?
87.
Aber wenn Sie jemandem die Schuld geben wollen, sprechen Sie mit diesem Tippen. Die Schweden folgten tatsächlich ihren Wissenschaftlern.
The thing in Sweden, which is very interesting, the politicians are not the one who's deciding what to do and not what to do. They always speak with different doctors, professors, people who give them advices, and they need to listen to them first before they take decisions.
Und was ist mit der Rettung der seelischen Gesundheit?
One thing I think has been underreported globally is about the psychological benefit of not having gone into lockdown. And I think it's going to be really hard for people in most of the Western world who have been on lockdown, who have been scared to such an extent that the idea of going back to work or going to restaurants again sounds so foreign and so challenging. Whereas here, where people have been advised to practice social distancing and people have stayed at home and not gone to work if they've been able to avoid work and work from home, but otherwise we've been able to lead our normal lives. So therefore it's going to be much easier to go back to whatever the new normal is.
What is better? That people will start suicide because the economy is going bad, or the corona? I don't know if the corona will kill people as much as the economy.
Ich genoss die letzten freien Küsschen meiner Kleinen. Am Flughafen trafen wir ein anderes Baby, das sich auch nach freien Küssen sehnte.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was really nice just walking around, also in the shops. It was really nice shopping without a mask.
None of these stupid things?
Yeah.
So. Are you worried about quarantine when you come back?
I'm a little bit, you're not.
I'm American, so
yeah,
no.
we will see. We will just see what happens.
Zurück in Berlin wurde Schweden von der Risikoliste gestrichen, aber wir haben uns trotzdem testen lassen. Und seitdem lebten sie Covid-negativ.